Welcome back, everyone, to Writer's Workshop. It's Mrs. Middleton again, and boy, is it good seeing everyone today. I hope you had a great weekend. I did. I had a very nice weekend, but you know what? I'm ready to write. I'm very excited. Before I started the lesson today, I thought, well, what papers, what documents will I need that we put in our writing folder last week that we'll need for today? So I'm going to share the screen right now with the other camera and show you what I have that you will need for today. Of course, you'll need your writing workshop or your writer's workshop folder, but inside that folder, I'm pulling out the list of settings that we came up with last week. So that's very important to what we're doing today. I'm also pulling out the important settings and events list where we came up with 4 different settings. And within those 4 settings, we came up with 2 events that happened in those settings. So I want you to put this video on pause for a moment and go find those. I'll be right back here when you're ready to go. Well, welcome back. Okay, now that you have these 2 papers, put them aside for a moment. I hope that you also have your pencil. That's going to be very important. Okay, so I am going to switch our camera here and go back to where I was, but I'm going to actually put a PowerPoint presentation on the screen right now so that we can, let's see here, so that we can share that. So let me go back to stop the share. Okay, and then we're gonna share one more time. Thank you for being patient as I do all this switching. Here we go. Okay, this is our lesson today. And again, make sure that you have all of those things put aside so that you can focus on our lesson. And I will move myself over here. Okay, our lesson today is called, just as you see, How to Choose a Small Moment for My Personal Narratives. Oh my goodness, this is one of the hardest things to do. And I know you're going to do a great job, but it's something you really need to practice at and something you really need to listen to. You may want to watch this video a couple times just so it makes sense. But I have this picture here of a big old piece of watermelon, lots of seeds in it. Then this says watermelon ideas versus seed stories. And then there's little watermelon seeds. Well, what on earth do watermelons and seeds have to do with writing? Well, I'll let you know. This is how we're starting. Some writing ideas are just too big. Sometimes first graders all the way up to high schoolers pick ideas that are too big. Writers need to look for smaller, detailed seed stories hiding inside of the big watermelon ideas. And I will go on. Let's review. Let's talk quickly about what we learned last week. We learned that personal narratives are true stories. Yes, and they're true stories about something that happened. Okay, makes sense. And they are true stories about something that happened to me. That's why she's pointing at herself. Okay, you know that? I think you know that well. We'll move on. Here's our teaching point for today. Let's pay attention to this big yellow box. What's new? Teaching point. Today, I want to teach you that good writers, and that's you, choose to write about small moments of time, tiny, small moments of time. And I have over here also, move my picture, I have a little poster here that tells all the things we're going to be doing and writing in the next couple weeks, but we're focusing on the 2 that have the smiley faces today. We're going to practice on how to tell about tiny moments in time and tell about something that really happened to us. Again, I'll say this one more time. I want to teach you that good writers, and that's you, choose to write about small moments of time. Tuck that back in your brain right now. You're going to hear that a lot, and it is true. So please listen as we continue. Okay. And it says, I'll bet you're asking yourself, How can I tell the difference between a big moment of time and a small moment of time? I'm going to say that again. I'll read it again because I made an error. And also pay attention here. Mr. Feltz will be very proud of you if you were able to pick out these quotation marks. Again, it says, I'll bet you're asking yourself, how can I tell the difference between a big moment of time and a small moment of time? Well, here's the answer. Just remember 2 words. Yep, they're right up there. Watermelon and seed. Again, those crazy watermelon seed words. I don't know what we're talking about. Well, I know what we're talking about. It'll make sense as we keep going. Okay, watermelon ideas versus seed stories. If you look at this piece of watermelon, there's lots of seeds in it. And if you look over here scattered all around, there's lots of seeds here too. Well, sometimes people decide to write about something that is way, way too big of an idea to write about in a small story. That's called a watermelon idea. But what those people really need to do is to look inside that big watermelon idea and find the little tiny seed stories that are hidden inside that big idea. Well, let me explain what I mean. Watermelon ideas are big moments. They're too big to write about. Examples are moments that last more than an hour or longer than an hour. My entire birthday, the whole thing from the time I wake up until I go to bed at night, that is a watermelon idea. It's too much to write about. Going to the mall. Well, gosh, I could go to the mall for a long time. I could go to the mall for 3 or 4 hours, and that would be way too much to write about. Big moments, other watermelon ideas are stories that people want to write about that take place over a few days. That would be more of a book. Not a personal narrative, or if they take place within a week of time or a month of time or a year of time. Some examples for those are the first week of school. Gosh, that's 5 days. That's packed with all kinds of information. That's too much to write about. And summer break, goodness, that takes 2.5 months. That is way too much to write about. So that is also called a watermelon idea, too big. But within those watermelon ideas are tiny little seed stories that are just the right size for us to write about. For instance, and right here, here's a little watermelon seed story that. A seed story comes from a watermelon idea. Again, they're small moments and they're just right. But some examples that I took seeds from these big watermelon moments are the moment I opened my favorite present. When did that happen? That happened on my birthday. Remember I said my entire birthday was too long to write about. Too much happened that day. But if I took a seed from that day, my birthday, and just wrote about the moment I opened my favorite present, that would be a great seed story to write about. Another one, if I look over here at going to the mall, that's, again, too long of a time spent there, too much to write about. But one time I went to the mall, I got my ears pierced. I could write about how I felt while I had my ears pierced. And then also, the moment I first walked into my classroom, well, during the first week of school, that's a big watermelon story. But if I take a little seed from the first week of school and wrote about the moment I first walked into my classroom, well, that would be a great seed story also. Okay. Here's one watermelon. Here are 3 seed stories that came from just one watermelon idea. Okay. And it says one watermelon idea is made up of many small seed stories. You guys, if you could take a big idea like mine right here that says going to the baseball park, my goodness, there are so many things that have happened to me at the baseball park, or if you've ever been, so many things happen. You could come up with so many seed stories. Well, this whole thing, going to the baseball park, has this seed story. It says, small seed story, getting my very first hit in a softball game. Oh my goodness, that is a memory I'll always have, and I will always remember all the details. That would make a perfect personal narrative, a very small moment. Another small seed story, getting a free soda at the concession stand. There was this whole story about how I got a free soda at the concession stand at the ballpark. And that's just one moment from the ballpark. And another moment is hitting a ball that dented my coach's car. Oh my goodness, I could write a very detailed small moment story that came from that. All these things happened where? At the ballpark, going to the baseball park. And I took small seed stories from a big watermelon topic. Okay, so this is how we're going to use the things that we had, the papers that we wrote last week. So if we take that list of settings, and I highlighted the 4 that I chose and wrote over here, but if you see this, going to the ice cream shop, that is a whole big watermelon topic, too big to write about. Going to Kings Island, same thing. Going to the Little League Park, same thing, too big, watermelon. And going to the mall, too big, it's watermelon. But if I take those 4 places and write them here, you guys already did this, you came up with seed stories that you can write about that happened at the baseball park or at the ice cream shop or wherever you chose. Some of them, notice, are not highlighted in green. Those are the ones that I decided were still too big, that they would not work for what we're doing for a personal narrative. So out of all these, I've come up with one story that I want to write, and it's this right here, getting a free soda at the concession stand. My setting was the baseball park. Okay, so this is your mission, and I'm going to do it too, and then you're going to do it for your assignment today. Your writing mission. Find a small moment seed story from the list you made last week. Watch me fill out my, step 2, watch me fill out my small moment sheet that you see right here with details, and then it will be your turn to fill out your own small moment sheet like this. Now, remember, I always say you don't have to print anything that I show you here, but I do want you to, on your paper, just draw 2 circles, a really big circle that takes up most of the paper, and then a smaller circle inside. Okay, and then I'll switch our camera and go back to the other camera here, so you guys can see how I do this. Okay. All right, it should be going. Why isn't it? Let's try one more time. Stop that share. Now I'll go to this one. Oh, goodness gracious. One moment, please. Okay. Okay, I think we're almost there. Advanced. Come. Oh. Oh, I am so sorry, guys. This is funny. Okay, so I finally was able to get our screen going. All right, thank you for waiting. Now, watch as I use my sheets from earlier to fill out my small moment. Now, as I told you, my small moment that I chose was from this sheet, the baseball park, and I decided that this getting a free soda was going to be my small moment that I want to write about for my narrative. So today, just so you know, we're not actually writing the narrative. We are simply listing all the details we can remember about that moment so that we have all that in our, saved, so that when we actually do the writing, our writing will be full of great details. So the first thing I want to say is that this concession stand was at the ballpark I played at, and that was called East End Little League. And we played, we played baseball or softball there in the summer. So I can put summer. Now, you know how I like bullet points, so let's include those so we have a little bit of organization. Okay, not only was it summer, but it was so very hot outside. And because of that, I was very sweaty. And when you get hot and sweaty, most of the time you get thirsty also. So these all go with our details that I can use in my story. But I had just found out that if you catch a foul ball, that means a ball that goes out of the baseball field area. If you catch a foul ball and take it to the concession stand, the concession stand people would give you a free drink. Gives free sodas. Okay. So there were lots of foul balls that day. But all these younger kids were faster than me and got to the ball first. And finally, I I caught one because a ball was hit right near where I was. And then when I was so excited to get my drink, and and the taste of it was so good. I think I got a Pepsi that day. And it was so nice and cold. So I just wrote a whole bunch of ideas that details from that day. I don't know exactly how I'm going to write my narrative yet, but when it's time for me to do it, I'll look back at these details and maybe I'll remember some more and add some more later. But on your own right now, I want you to put this on pause and then get started right here with looking at your chart. This chart here, picking one moment like I did, writing that moment in the middle, and then coming up with details that go with that moment. I will put you on pause, you put me on pause, and come back as soon as you're done. Welcome back. Okay, I am going to switch back to our PowerPoint and then we're going to end. But this is what I want you to do. Now that you've taken the time and written all your details, remember, good writers, and that's you, choose to write about small moment seed stories, not big watermelon ideas. So when we come back tomorrow, we will use this small moment sheet to help us get started on our narrative. Have a wonderful night.